Good. We are starting the City Council meeting for the City of Bonney Lake for April 26, 2022. Before we start, well, how about we salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, it's good to see everybody here. How about we have roll call, Madam Clerk?
Mayor McCullough,
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Carter, Councilmember Baldwin. Here. Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Fullerton.
Here.
Councilmember McClyman.
Here. Councilmember
Swatman.
Present.
And Councilmember Watson.
Here. Okay, and we did not hear from Deputy Mayor Carter just yet, but our understanding is that he is.
Yeah, he's in a
showing
training thing this
Okay.
week, so he might be a little late.
Okay. And Councilmember Evans, so you raise your hand.
Oh, I was gonna make a motion to excuse him, but if he isn't intending on being called,
Okay. All right, I believe we do have an agenda modification for this evening. That would be the agenda modifications from Councilmember McClyman. He's asked that item H, AB 2256, be removed from the consent agenda to full council issues as item A. Do we have a motion to modify?
So moved. Second.
Okay. With that, I believe we need. I think we just need a motion and a second for that. So I make sure we placed as item A on the full council issues. All right. We do have a proclamation. I will read the proclamation into the record. And then, Madam Clerk, could you give the proclamation to Chief Jeter afterwards? Oh, we already have that. Very good. All right. Bonney Lake proclamation. Whereas Congress and the President of the United States has designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week, and whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Bonney Lake Police Department, and whereas nearly 60,000 assaults against law enforcement officers are reported each year, resulting in approximately 17,000 injuries. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 23,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and were killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the halls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, and the names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 458 officers killed in 2021. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty across the country, and whereas May 15th, 2022 is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. And whereas the members of the Bonney Lake Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Bonney Lake, now, therefore, I, Michael McCullough, Mayor of Bonney Lake, do hereby proclaim May 11th through May 17th, 2022 as National Police Week, and proclaim May 15th, 2022 to be Peace Officers Memorial Day in the city of Bonney Lake, and publicly salute the service of the law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Bonney Lake to be affixed on this 26th day of April, 2022. That does deserve an applause. Okay. Now, I believe as was explained prior to us starting the record, we have no public hearing tonight, so we can move straight forward to citizen comments. All right, citizens, this is your time to address the council on city business. Have 5 minutes. State your name and address for the record, please.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor.
Oh, can't hear you, Mr. Decker.
Mentioned earlier that he was going to fix it so that I couldn't speak. Good job, thank you. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Department Directors, Sergeant at Arms. I'm past Council Member Daniel Decker. I live at 1270th Street East, Bonney Lake, Washington. I'm pleased to learn that the city of Bonney Lake residents will be allowed to use the city of Bonney Lake's boat launch for this season. I believe that I'm correct in what I've heard on that. Hope so anyway. I believe the boat launch remains closed until certain signs are posted. I've also heard that there are certain signs that need to be posted before the boat launch will be open. I believe that if we wait for those signs, 100 years might go by because, not because the council is going to stop the signs from being made, but because the sign maker might have trouble getting them back to us for some reason. In saying the above, I suggest that the boat launch be opened on time, passes be sold to the city residents so that they can use the boat launch in a timely manner. And a season begins on a certain date and ends on a certain date. And I believe that the citizens of Bonney Lake want to have what they're paying for and have the full season with the, very hard to talk with this microphone. Not set so I can talk into it easily. But anyway, I'm hoping that we can get the boat launch opened on a timely schedule so that the people of the city of Bonney Lake can use it and not have to be concerned about having to wait for it to be open. And thank you very much, Council.
All right, thank you, Mr. Decker. Do we have anybody else for the good of the order? Now, I have heard from some of our council members that actually saying it that formally might be a little foreboding, but this is your time to come and speak before the council. Do we have anybody else? Okay, moving on. Oh, I have noticed that Deputy Mayor Carter has joined us since that, was it before citizen commentary or while the proclamation is being read?
Just before the proclamation.
All right, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, we have no correspondence. We'll move on to committee reports. Finance Committee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee did not meet and will meet at their next meeting, which would be Tuesday, May 10th.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Community Development Committee, please.
Community Development Committee did meet on April 9th for the provide construction management service, public works. The ongoing issue there with that facility. It'll be a great facility when we get to the end. As we know, there's bumps along the way, but necessity to have this passed, recommended by the council committee level. So there's, fortunately, we are where we are on that particular issue. Not too happy about it, but it's not the fault of staff or any one particular person or any one thing. It's a conglomeration of issues there. We definitely have to do that in our opinion. Also, we looked at, had an unusual request of an actual person, which is our committee. I don't know if it's the organization, maybe Mr. Watson's familiar with, but they actually are the disc golf folks are back again, and they're requesting to use some space possibly over at the Midtown Park area. So we, of course, contact the staff and the parks board and whatever they want to do. That the appropriate use for a little while, mainly from telling them it would be definitely temporary. But now they can do something now. They didn't want any money from the city. They just wanted some permission. So we
I talked to my contact today, by the way.
did it.
All working together.
Oh, good. Very good. Those are items of the key issues at the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Swatman. Given what these people throw, don't you think that it would be more appropriate for the Public Safety Committee as opposed to the Finance Committee?
That was a good point.
Okay, speaking of Public Safety Committee, can we have the notes on that?
The public safety meeting met on April 12th.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Evans. Okay, I do not see any other reports, so let's move to the consent agenda. As pointed out at the beginning of the meeting, we do have an amended consent agenda, whereas item H has been removed and put onto full council issue. So, do I have a motion to adopt the amended consent agenda that does not include item H?
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the consent agenda has been adopted. And now we do move on to that full council issue. Madam Clerk.
This is AB 22-56 motion, and it is to approve 2 part-time term limited senior center delivery drivers.
So moved.
Second. Okay, we did have a discussion on this in last week's workshop. Do we have any further discussion regarding this issue? Councilmember McBride.
Yeah, so I've talked to a few different community groups that would be willing to try to coordinate coverage of the services needed, and was wondering what the process and the procedure would be for coordinating that, and if that would be something the council consider the reasonable way to do this. Most of those people felt like this was an opportunity for those communities to actually participate in something meaningful, and they saw it as a great opportunity. And so I think it would be worth a try. What I wanted to try to understand also was, what is the impact if somebody misses?
Now, Councilmember Swatman.
Yes, that's the way to do it. So, yeah, I would join Councilmember McClellan's in and trying to figure out how the community can help out in this respect, because, you know, as I alluded to before, it's really kind of saddening to me that we have this need out there to our elderly, and the community isn't really, you know, engaged too much in stepping up. I maybe don't think that they know about this. They probably should. This is a great opportunity. I know that I was thinking to myself, if I wasn't gainfully employed, I would take a day. Say, okay, I'm going to do, you know, every Friday or what have you. My community. What we do as a city is our elderly and the people in need. If we can't take care of them, in my mind, that's, you know, ultimately the judge that we are judged by, right? If we can't take care of those, what are we doing here as a community? So, you know, again, hopefully, joining with my council member, that the city would be encouraged to find and contact these groups prior to doing the structure of hiring them and do it. Happens to be that our community will step up. I think they will. I don't know if they've been engaged. I'd really be interested in nonprofits out there, like all of those groups, right?
Right.
I think they should be fully engaged, given the opportunity. And especially like you were talking, Councilmember McClellan was referred to earlier, if these needs are out there, you know, and the city wants to fund them, they should go after a city-generated grant, right? You can say, well, we have these monies available. You guys apply for that you can get this if you provide the service. All kinds of options.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Spalding. Councilmember Evans.
I appreciate the research and thought on that, and I think that would be absolutely great. However, my only thought on that is we wouldn't expect volunteers to drive school buses. We wouldn't expect volunteers to come in, mow our lawns at the parks. We wouldn't expect volunteers to come in, provide maintenance on our trucks. These are all things that we as a city need to provide, and relying on volunteers because they're elderly versus a lawn or a maintenance or anything like that, I think is pandering because it's a service we need to be providing. If it's a service that is needed, it's a service that the city should be providing. That's my bottom line on that. Yeah, and like Dan said, we do have money for this, and it is a grant money. Of course, it is the ARPA money. We have a sunset clause on this, and so that's just my 2 cents on that. I would be great if the community would volunteer in addition to, but I think we've got to establish a baseline that these seniors need to be fed no matter what, and doing so by providing the service guarantee. And anything beyond that is above and beyond that, and that is needed. I don't think we have an established baseline yet to ensure that is going to be there.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Evans. Councilmember Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do agree the community has the ability out there to help take care of this. We have, as you know, a lot of organizations, the food bank has a lot of volunteers. And Kids House just came in, they've got 10 people helping over there, all volunteers. People are out there. The problem you face is the senior center is not able to find those people. If we do not approve this tonight, who's going to go out there and find those people? They don't have the current ability or the contacts to get those. I think we should pass this tonight so our people are being fed. And then we should find a way from the city to have contacts or reach out on Facebook. We're looking for volunteers to help feed our in the senior center. What churches, what groups like to do this? And they are out there. But getting the engine rolling is not going to happen next week or week after or sooner. Or this here can feed people right now. So we need to resolve the problem and then try and find another way to take care of them in the future. Because we talked about in 2 years, when this money runs out, what are we going to do? Things that Mr. McClellan's talked about, we should be doing. And we have some time to work it out. So I'm going to vote for this tonight.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Watson. Councilmember Baldwin.
Yeah, I'm definitely echoing much of what everybody is saying. I also this past week was trying to figure out if there were people in the community that would be willing to volunteer and ways to put that out on social media, on our government page and things like that. I guess my first question is the 2,500 meals initially was set up as a result of COVID related lack of contact. Is that correct? When was the 25? Because you guys had mentioned that the 2,500 meals was not necessarily a thing that had been going for a while.
I questioned Sue about people, and these are people that are being fed who have never been in the senior center before. So not like seniors, instead of going down there, I'll just stay home and feed me. She tells me these are all new people she hasn't done that don't go out and stuff.
It does. I think my question is when did it begin and what was, I guess, the reasoning behind it? How did it come about?
During COVID, prior to COVID, there wasn't. COVID happened. So instead of the bus taking them here, we recently opened back up in February. Programming. Some are still in vulnerable communities and get down here, co-mingle with everyone. That's the lineage that led to where we're at. You know, and hopefully with this being a 2-year clause, and hopefully it'll fade back out and feel better coming back out. The stabilization of the virus and everything will be to the point where it's old and those that are in the vulnerable population won't be as vulnerable to it. And close it out at that point, or then have the communities take over the churches and that, but right now we need, I think, to establish what that looks like and then turn it over to someone and let them take care of it from there.
Hypothetically, if there was a large amount of people, let's just say that over the next 2 to 3 months that, saw a need, wanted to fill the need, and started volunteering after there was an approval of the monies, then would these people get paid, or is it okay that they just merely want to volunteer and not be paid for what they were doing if volunteers actually came forward?
I thought it was for a limited time. You're already told they're being hired for a limited time, so time frame, I'm not sure about that would be some precedent.
Yeah,
It was for 2 years, but, it could be, we have volunteers who decide to skin the program, I believe.
Oh, I see. And just as a point of clarification, I believe the sunset clause does go in December of 2020.
Thank you.
So, Councilmember Fulton.
Hi, hopefully you can hear me. If you're looking directly at your microphone, then I can actually hear you, but if you look away from your microphone, then you cut off. So I'm just going to clarify that this has a sunset clause, meaning a limited time. Do we have time limit for the people? Is it like 2 years or until the ARPA funds run out, or what is it for? And also before this started, we had it called Meals on Wheels, and that was actually a nonprofit. So it's always been kind of nonprofits that took care of all of the people who were in need. So is that still available? We have something called, I believe, Mama to Many, or Bonney Lakes.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Fullerton, you are going in and out. We missed a lot of the last couple.
Okay. Can you hear me now? So Mama Too Many is in Sumner Bonney Lake. So is there a way to integrate the nonprofits to take over eventually the process of picking up the meals and delivering them so that we could get out of this sooner than later? That's a question.
I don't know about the group she's speaking about, but it'd be good to research that. Meals on Wheels don't come to Bonney, doesn't come to Bonney Lake anymore. I don't know of anyone delivering hot meals.
And Chief Jeter.
Thank you. I can speak to the Mothers to Many deals with juveniles. They provide snacks and drinks for kids at the skate parks in Bonney Lake, Sumner, and Pulaski.
I do.
Okay, thank you, Chief Jeter. Okay, Councilmember Fullerton.
Thank you, Chief, for the clarification. I appreciate that.
All right, Deputy Mayor Carter, have you any discussion?
Well, as long as my microphone holds out, I'll say something. Yeah, I like the fact that this has a sunset clause. I would like to see, as kind of we've talked about before, the senior center partnering with others to help with this rather than this turning into an obligation for an employee for the city. I'm okay with doing this part-time currently, but I would like to see it turn into either a volunteer or something with the 501c3 that's working to do this. I don't think this is the city's job. I mean, it's a great thing, and obviously nobody wants to say that that's, we shouldn't do that, but I think the city has to look at what is our primary function: water, sewer, public safety, that kind of stuff. is our primary function. I think that there's other places that need to step up to take care of this particular need. So I'm okay with filling the gap right now, but I would like to see that gap eventually get filled by someone else. Thank you.
Two questions, Deputy Mayor Carter. This issue has been through the Finance Committee more than once.
I'm sorry, you broke up right at the end.
Finance, so this issue has been through the Finance Committee and then it went through the workshop, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and if we, with Councilmember McClymon's concerns, when would be the next Finance Committee meeting that might be part of the agenda?
If you want to put it back to finance, it could come back on the next meeting, which would be May 10th.
Okay. Okay, I believe with those questions. Yes, Councilman.
I think the other part that, and I agree, Deputy Mayor Carter, in regards to government's role, but strongly believe in the support of the seniors. And so in regards to the senior center, I think the biggest concern I have with the meals as far as how it's being done now versus how it was being done before is, and I know COVID makes things complicated right now, but I just feel strongly that it's detrimental to seniors to just be in situations where they are isolated from people. And so I think a meal situation where we were picking them up before, and again, I am looking further down the road, but I do think it's really important that the seniors have some sort of regular contact, even if it's minimal, through a way where they can be at the senior center getting meals. And I wonder too, if there is a possibility, because I have been working this week trying to figure out some options and nonprofit options, if there is a way that we can potentially wait another week. I know that there is the concern that things are going to stop or meals aren't going to happen in the next week, but I have some feelers out there, and I want to research a bit more, but I don't necessarily want to keep dragging this out either. So I don't know what everyone's thoughts are on that.
I believe that probably the proper procedural way of going is to ask the council whether they are ready to take this to a vote tonight or to table it so that Councilmember Baldwin and Councilmember Klein can get the answers to their questions.
Well, I just real quick.
Okay.
Now that you mentioned that, as I walk streets off my dogs and stuff, there's a lady that comes up from Sumner. I waved to her, talking. I said, "What are you doing?" That was 2 years ago. She said, "I drive around to people that need the food nation their home, and they bring it after she's confirmed where she's got that day. Then they come back out and deliver food to them. I don't know who delivers it, and I can try and reach out to her and find out from my Nature Families group, and they might know and might solve our problem that way too. And I forgot all about that tonight."
Oh, and Councilmember Swap.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I just see it as a great opportunity for the council and community to get together on an issue that needs to be solved. And, it's a community building activity, so there's an opportunity there where, the needs there, it needs to be done. I just have a problem with the structure because, I see that, again, it needs to be done. But if my neighbor's house is burning down, my first call is not necessarily the fire department, although I know they're coming. It's for me to get out there and as a community and a neighbor to be a neighbor, right? Where does that start and stop? It needs to be done, right? Yeah, indeed, but there are things that we can do as neighbors. Doesn't necessarily mean that we need to call the government first, right?
In this scenario, you do need to call the government first, not your neighbors to grab fire hoses.
Right. See, that's a different philosophy, though, right? Because I'm going to run over there and run into and make sure that my neighbor's not home and what have you while I'm calling 911. I'm not going to stand out there and watch their house. I know it's dramatic, right? I'm not going to watch their house burn. I'm not going to watch my neighbor think that they're not getting fed. The elderly person down the street doesn't have anybody in contact. I'm not going to ignore them and assume that somebody else is going to come and feed them because that's a philosophical thing. So Definitely it has to be done. Hopefully, the council will support a little pause and see if we can't get the community to step up. It's a great opportunity for.
I would like to table to send it back to our another workshop, because the finance will do a whole lot, but we're in a workshop, a full discussion that way, and we're.
Where does it fall on the finance committee to come up with volunteers?
Right, as I was saying, don't send it back to finance.
It's a pause to give the opportunity for.
Like to table it.
Would that be, table the actual motion, Councilmember Watson? Okay, well, that would certainly be appropriate to bring to a vote right now. And I believe is there a motion to bring to the,
If he has a table, then he.
Table it.
if you table, is there a second to the table?
Second.
Okay. All right, so motion has been tabled. It will not go to a vote. I think we're all on the same page.
No, I didn't know. Just make sure it's.
Okay, so it has been moved for and seconded. Do we have a vote? Table. Yes.
Table it to the next workshop?
My motion is.
Okay, so all in favor of tabling the motion to the next workshop, say aye.
Aye. That is next week.
That would be next Tuesday. Councilmember Fullerton, you raised your hand. Would that be a vote in favor? Okay, and Deputy Mayor Carter, I did not. Okay, good. All right, so I believe that motion has been approved.
Nay. Just because you didn't ask.
Nay. Yes. How about this? All opposed?
Nay.
There. Okay, I believe we do have a 6. Next Tuesday. Okay, given that, I believe those are all the issues that we do have tonight. There are no executive sessions, and we had no more business, so we are adjourned.
None of us have done it.